ourselves for a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning and we thank you for this function. We ask that even as we have this great release of the PLE results, you'll be with us and bless us as we go about the activities of this function. We thank you because we pray this, believing in Jesus' name. Amen. You may have your seats. First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Museveni, Ministers of State for Education, the Chairperson and members of Parliament of the Education Committee of Parliament, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, the Executive Secretary, UNEB, senior officers of the Ministry of Education and Sports and UNEB, development partners, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, you're all very welcome to the occasion of the release of results of the 2017 primary living examinations. I would like at this time to invite the chairperson of UNEB to give her remarks. Professor Mary Okwakol, you're welcome.
First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Museveni, Ministers of State for Education, the Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports, Honorable Members of Parliament, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, Board members of UNEB, the Executive Secretary of UNEB, senior officers, Minister of Education and Sports, senior officers of UNEB, development partners, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honor to present to you today results of the 2017 primary living examinations, PLE, conducted on the 2nd and 3rd November 2017. This is the first in a series of 3 examination results which the board will present. The others being the Uganda Certificate of Education, USE, and the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education, USCE, to follow in that order. Honorable Minister, I'm pleased to report to you and the nation that the results you are about to release are from an examination that was properly conducted and all procedures and processes were in accordance with the body's regulations. Honorable Minister, candidature has continued to increase under the government's Universal Education Program. It is very gratifying to note that more and more girls have been able to remain up to the end of the cycle. The number of girls who registered for and sat the PLE exceeded the number of the boys. Worth noting with concern, Honorable Minister, is the fact that many districts registered fewer candidates in 2017 than they did in 2016, as will be detailed in the release statement to be presented by the Executive Secretary. The board found out that in most of these districts, the pupils were subjected to what was called a pre-registration test administered centrally by the districts. Those who did not score a predetermined mark were not allowed to register for the PLE. However, there are also districts that had increases in candidature, especially those districts where there are significant refugee populations. The board has adopted a deliberate policy of embracing the use of ICT in the examination processes. The e-registration program continues to ensure more accurate registration data. In addition, the e-marks program ensured a faster capture of marks at the marking centers, and by so doing, eliminated the manual processes that would delay the final processing of the results. Consequently, these results are ready quite early and on the same date as those of 2016, despite the fact that we have had increase in candidature. Honorable Minister, I wish to express our profound gratitude to you for your solid support in seeking the release of funds to UNEB. I thank the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for releasing part of the areas due to UNEB. This enabled the marking of the PLE to be conducted efficiently and effectively. Examiners were paid in time for the festive season, save for some who had supplied wrong bank details, but even those have already been paid. Regarding funding, I wish to state that UNEB is a strategic institution whose activities are time-bound, and those activities must be carried out as scheduled to avoid serious negative impact on the national education programs. We shall therefore continue to appreciate your help in securing the necessary funding and in a timely manner. The results indicate that performance has improved and more candidates will be able to join post-primary institutions. The details, once again, are contained in the release statement, which will be given soon. The examiners have reported that candidates are writing better and express themselves more clearly than in the past. Honorable Minister, UNEB also administered the PLE for the inmates at Luzila Upper Prison as part of its policy of inclusiveness in assessment. Details of their performance will be presented in the release statement by the Executive Secretary. The policy of inclusiveness encourages education and assessment of learners with disabilities, that is, with special educational needs of various forms. The board makes adjustments in the question papers and provides assistive devices and personnel so as to enable the candidates do the examination. Assistive devices include sign language interpreters and transcribers. This year, the board registered 891 such candidates, of whom 419 are female and 472 are male. Examination malpractice continues to pose a threat to the sanctity of our education system and will now need to be viewed as a national security threat. Honorable Minister, the easiest way to destroy a country is to compromise its education system through, among others, cheating in national examinations. The curbing of this vice can no longer be seen as a UNEB affair, but must be a concern of all leaders, security agencies, and all citizens. The board applauds you, Honorable Minister, for supporting the provision of increased security during the 2017 PLE. That notwithstanding, examiners still detected cases of external assistance given in examination rooms. Well-meaning citizens also reported those centers where cheating was being carried out. The Examination Security Committee has carefully reviewed the reported cases, and the board requests those that have cases to answer to be withheld in accordance with Section 4, Subsection 3 of the UNEB Act for investigations to be completed and the candidates to be given a hearing. The board has also resolved that from 2018, distribution of PLE examination papers will be escorted by security agencies from the storage stations to sitting centers. As of now, the exam papers are escorted up to storage stations, but we found out that it is necessary for UNEB to take the responsibility to go as far as distributing to centers. This will call for additional resources for which we shall seek your assistance, Honorable Minister. I wish to appreciate the support of the media houses in the course of our work during the year. They have helped publish our programs, such as the examination timetables and circulars. They have also highlighted salient issues carried in UNEB assessment reports. Last week, the WhatsApp social media platform carried a story attributed to the UNEB Executive Secretary setting the dates for the release of the PLE and USE examination results. This falsehood was unfortunately amplified by various media houses, despite our refuting the story, and caused a lot of confusion and also anxiety in the public. I note with dismay that this practice of certain persons posting falsehoods on social media and attributing the source to UNEB has been on since last year. As you may recall, I did talk about it in my remarks last year, and appears to be on the increase. While the board is aware that social media platforms like WhatsApp communication avenues, I wish to inform the public once more that UNEB's communication policy does not provide for issuing official communication through social media. The public should therefore disregard any future information emanating from these sources. Media houses are also requested to disregard these stories and not propagate them to further confuse the public. I wish, on behalf of the board, to thank you, Honorable Minister, for your support. I thank my colleagues on the board, the Executive Secretary, and the staff of UNEB for a job very well done. I wish to assure you, Honorable Minister, that UNEB will always give you and the nation accountability of what it has done through the year with the resources allocated to it by, among others, timely release of results of examinations it is mandated to conduct. I congratulate the candidates who have done well in the examination and thank their teachers, their parents, their guardians, and all those who supported them throughout the study in the cycle, in the primary cycle. I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Professor Okwakol. The program is as follows. We're going to have the statement of results from the Executive Secretary, then the handover of results to the Minister of Education by the chairperson, and thereafter the Minister of State will come to give her remarks, who will then invite the Minister of Education and Sports May I now take this opportunity to invite the Executive Secretary, UNEP, to come and give the statement of results. Thank you.
The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, the Ministers of State for Education, the Chairperson, Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports, and honorable members of Parliament present, the Permanent Secretary, the Ministry of Education and Sports, the Chairperson, Uganda National Examinations Board, and members of the UNEB board present, directors and commissioners from the Ministry of Education and Sports, heads of department and senior officers from the Uganda National Examinations Board Secretariat, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, we are pleased to present to you the 2017 PLE results. The registration of the candidates for the examination is as follows. We registered a total of 646,190 candidates coming from 12,751 examination centers. Of these, about nearly 75%, about 3/4, are children who studied under the government's Universal Primary Education Program, and the other 1/4 studied under the non-UPE program. And the table, Honorable Minister, indicates how we have progressed over the last 5 years in terms of increases in candidature. Whereas the previous years, UNEB has been registering an increase in candidature of between 3 to 5%. The increase this year, 2017, from the 2016 registration indicates a drop that we have only increased by 0.8%. And we have observed, Honorable Minister, as the chairperson has said, that up to 66 districts registered fewer candidates in 2017 than they did in 2017. And Table 2 gives 10 districts where these variances were very significant. You'll observe, Mama, that Bulambuli district registered a negative variance of 24% compared to the previous year. And 9 of the other 10 districts registered fairly significant negative variances. The reasons for these negative variances have been given by the chairperson of the board in her statement. We also recorded districts where there have been very significant increases in candidature, and these districts include Yumbe, where you can observe an increase in candidature of 61%, and Moyo, 40.7%, and Ajumani, 34.2%. Other than Kaperamaido, Bundibujo, and Toroko districts that have also registered significant increases, the other districts, as the chairperson has said, are districts where we have very significant refugee populations. Analysis of the gender has also indicated what the chairperson has already said. We have had more girls, and this is about the 3rd or 4th year running that we are registering more girls at this level than the boys. The girls constituted 51.3% of total candidature against the boys of 48.7%. We've also registered the learners with special needs of various categories. These categories include the blind, whose exams were printed in Braille, the deaf, where the board provided sign language interpreters, the physically handicapped and the dyslexics, where the board provided personnel whom we call amanuenses, and those with low vision that require enlarged print. And there were other categories of disabilities that required to be given some extra time to do the examinations. In all these cases, necessary modifications were done in the question papers to enable the disabled candidates to handle the examinations without necessarily diluting or changing the text with the material that was being tested. In table 4, Mama, we are showing the candidates registered and those that have sat and absentees. I want to note with pleasure that, Honorable Minister, we have gradually been reducing, or we are witnessing gradual reduction in the number of candidates who register for the examination but they do not sit. This year, we have registered a total of 2.3%. And as you can see going down the table, this is the lowest number of absentees we have recorded. And I believe that when the causes of absenteeism from examinations are discovered and addressed, these percentages will continue to come down. In table 5, we have some districts where absenteeism is far higher than the national average of 2.3. The highest number of absenteeism this year is recorded from Gomba, where 5.9% of the candidates who registered for the examination did not turn up to sit the examination. The others are in varying percentage decreasing as you go down. Honorable Minister, I'd like to report on the performance of the candidates by subject, and I'm comparing these with the performance in 2016. When you look at English language, we observe that there has been a decline in the performance. At grade 2, that is a distinction pass, the number of candidates who are able to pass with a distinction has declined from 11.5 in 2016 to 4.5% this year. Similarly, cumulatively, those that are able to obtain at least a credit 6 also declined from 63.6% to 54.4%. And those that are able to pass, overall pass level, also declined slightly from 86.9% to 85.6%. Social studies and science are two subjects that have recorded significant improvements as indicated in the percentages. Mathematics recorded improved performances at the credit and the overall pass levels. However, at the distinction level, we observe that we have had a drop from 4.5% in 2016 to 2.3% in 2017. So, Honorable Minister, these figures do not include those results for which we have obtained permission to withhold in accordance with Section 4, subsection 3 of UNEB Act Cap 137. The table indicating, as I've already said, better performance in social studies and integrated science. In both English and mathematics, performance of candidates were poor in those questions where candidates are expected to apply knowledge. There are questions in mathematics requiring the candidates to use their everyday experiences, going to the market with a certain amount of money, buying certain items at different prices, and the child is being asked, how much did you spend in all? If you were asked to pay only so much, what discount were you given by the shopkeeper? These are experiences which are within the realm of our children, but these are the kind of questions that we found candidates were not doing well. Similarly, in English language, we also realized that questions that required the candidates to write freely. For example, we had a question requiring the candidates to write a letter of apology. The children are playing and they kick a ball and the ball breaks a window pane and the child is being asked, please write a letter to your teacher to apologize and say your parents will pay up and that you are not going to play in the class again, and so on. Again, these are experiences we expect to be within the realm of our learners. However, Honorable Minister, these are the areas where the candidates found a lot of difficulties. They are more comfortable with questions that are very direct and mainly based on recall. And we want to imagine that perhaps teaching in these areas may not be in sync, as it were, with the curriculum as well as the assessment. However, Honorable Minister, examiners indicated that there is an improvement in the layout of the work being presented by the candidates, and that their writing, the handwriting, is becoming better. Even the presentation of the answers are now being done more in full sentences, regardless of whether those answers are correct or not. At least you see the candidates are writing their answers in full sentences. So there is an indication that the quality of work is getting better in terms of those areas that I have mentioned. The overall performance, Honorable Minister, by divisional grades is presented in table number 7. We wish to observe that performance in 2017 is better than that of 2016, except at the Division 1 level, where we have recorded a slight decrease of 1 percentage point from 10.2% in 2016 to 9.1%. These decrease could be accounted for by the slight drop in the performance of mathematics and English. However, Honorable Minister, when we look at the Division 2, whereas 2016 we had a cumulative percentage of 50.7, we see that this year more of our children have passed at Division 2, giving us a percentage of 55.9. We also see that overall pass at Division 4, which qualifies a learner to a certificate of PLE, we also see that the overall pass level has increased from 87.0% to 91.0%. And we also observe, therefore, Honorable Minister, that fewer candidates failed. Last year, we had a percentage of 13.0% of our children who were ungraded. That percentage has now dropped below 10% at 9.1. We also, Honorable Minister, what this means is that more of the children have qualified to move from this level to the next post-primary level. As the chairperson of the board has said, we maintain an examination center at Luzira Upper Prisons to ensure that the rights to education by even those who are incarcerated are respected. And so 2017, the prisons registered 89 candidates, and 78 of those sat. The 11 could have been released before the examination. 3 of them were able to pass in Division 1, 36 of them obtained Division 2, 18 obtained Division 3, and 20 obtained Division 4. And Mama, only one of those prisoners was ungraded. We also wish to compare results by gender, the males and the females in Table 5. What we can say there is that although we have more girls registering and sitting for the PLE, the performance still indicates that the boys are doing better. At Division 1, they are 5.1 compared to 4%, and so on. We have also looked at performance in the different districts, and of note, of interest, we just want to find out those districts where failure rates are still quite high. We have a failure rate, a national average of 9.1%. However, there are districts where the failure rates are very, very high, well above the national average. And we have put there 10 of those districts where these percentages are quite significant. For example, Queen, we have a failure rate almost 30%, nearly 1/3 of the children. Bukwo at 25.5, and so on. Again, we want to observe that other than Kayunga and possibly Buvuma, the rest of these districts, just like last year, Mama, are still coming from the eastern part of our country. And probably something needs to be done about this. Honorable Minister, we have also provided some information on the UPE and the non-UPE performance. The table 10, what is coming out of there is that performance of the children in the non-UPE schools have continued to be better. Division 1, we have 22.0% compared to 4.1% in the UPE schools. And also, the failure rate is higher in our UPE at 11.0 compared to 4.4. However, what we need to note, Honorable Minister, is that the number of non-UPE candidates is only about 1/4 of the total number of candidates that were registered for the exams. Besides, we also observe that most of the non-UPE schools are located in urban areas where, in other studies that the Uganda National Examinations Board has carried out, we have observed already a disparity between performance of urban and rural schools. So it's not a surprise, therefore, that these percentages are coming out here. But it has to be noted, Honorable Minister, that for the UPE schools that are also located in urban areas, performance is not different from the non-UPE schools. Honorable Minister, examination malpractice, the chairperson has already alluded to this. We've had cases mainly of external assistance that were given to the candidates by third parties while the examination was in progress. Consequently, the board has requested you, Honorable Minister, to allow the withholding of 2,559 results pending completion of investigations, and also inviting the affected parties to be given a hearing. Those that will be cleared will have their results released as soon as possible. Honorable Minister, part of our responsibilities as an assessment agency is to give feedback to our stakeholders, particularly the schools, on the way the candidates respond to the questions that we set in the various papers. Consequently, the board prepares a report on the work of candidates, and the questions are analyzed, the challenges faced by the candidates are highlighted, misconceptions that may be arising from the teaching are also analyzed, and the teachers are given advice on how to handle those areas. So all stakeholders, particularly the teachers, are urged to utilize this report. Honorable Minister, sometimes we hear that these reports reach the districts and they remain in the education offices and they do not reach the schools. So we would like to urge the district education authorities to ensure that reports on the works of candidates that are prepared by the UNEB are issued to the teachers who need them most. Honorable Minister, allow me to join my chairperson in appreciating the immense support that you have given to the Uganda National Examinations Board since you became Minister of Education and Sports. This has resulted, as the chairperson has said, releases of funds that have enabled us to operate a little more efficiently and effectively than we have done in the past. And again, as my chair has said, we will continue to come, and when we feel a little pinched, we will come and show you where we are being pinched, and I'm sure you will help us. I'd like to thank all the other persons, the district people who worked with us, the district administrative officers, the education officers, the inspectors, and all the people who worked with UNEB in the management of the 2017 PLE. Honorable Minister, I'd like to thank very, very specially the Inspector General of Police and other security agencies. I have had a very, very dedicated team from the police and other security agencies with whom we have worked to oversee the conduct of not only the PLE, but other examinations as well. Represented here in this release, allow me, Mama, to introduce two of the members of that committee, Assistant Commissioner Mr. Mate from Police Headquarters and Superintendent of Police Mr. Senyondo from CID. There are others who have not been able to be present, but these have worked very, very well with us. We also want to thank all the other people who were involved in the management of the exams, like scouts, monitors, supervisors, invigilators, and staff from sister institutions, Directorate of Education Standards, the National Curriculum Development Center, who worked with us closely for the successful conduct of this exam. My chairperson has thanked the media, and I join her to appreciate the role of the media. And I also wish to congratulate the candidates who passed, and their teachers and their parents. And I also want to thank the institutions that allowed us to use their facilities for marking. And very finally, allow me to also thank the staff of the UNEB Secretariat, represented here by heads of department and other senior officers. I'd like them to just stand up for recognition, those who are here. subjects. Honorable Minister, this is a wonderful team that I have. Collection of results. We are uploading these results on the portal. And Honorable Minister, as soon as you declare the results released, the results will be available on the portal, and they can be accessed. And the instructions to get these would be for anyone who has a mobile phone. They can go to their message menu and type abbreviation PLE. Then leave a space and type the full index number of the child. Some people only type the last 3 digits. The index number consists of the school number with a stroke and then the candidate's individual number. When that is done, they can send to 6600. And instantly, depending on how the mobile phone companies are behaving, you should be able to get this instantly. The district and municipal inspectors of schools can collect hard copies of these results starting from around 3 o'clock this afternoon from our offices in Ntinda. And we wish to inform parents and any other persons that we do not have any results issued from UNEB, and also there are no results issued from the Ministry of Education and Sports. They can use the technology that has been made available. Honorable Minister, I want to submit. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel Odongo, the chairperson, the executive secretary of UNEB. May I now take this opportunity to invite the chairperson of UNEB to hand over the results to the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports.
Honorable Minister, I have the honor and pleasure to hand to you the PLE results for 2017 for release to the nation. Honorable Minister.
May I now invite the Minister of State for Primary Education, Honorable Seninde, to please come and address this gathering. And thereafter invite the Minister of Education and Sports. Thank you.
The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, my colleague, the Minister of State for Higher Education, members of Parliament present, the Chairperson of the Education Committee, and our dear colleagues, the Permanent Secretary, the Chairperson of UNEB, members of UNEB Board, the Executive Secretary, senior officials from the Ministry, and members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to welcome you all to the release ceremony of the PLE 2017 results. I take this opportunity also to congratulate you, our dear friends, upon a successful completion of 2017, and I wish you a happy 2018. Mama and dear friends, allow me to thank UNEB for the hard work put in to ensure that the examination was conducted well, marking done on time in order for the final processes and release to be early and in time today. I'm glad that performance is improving steadily, as you've all heard, with some room to do better in some areas, especially in English. I take this opportunity, Mama, to thank you so much indeed for the support you extended to UNEB. I believe without that support, probably there could have been some challenges, but we want to thank you very much indeed for that support. Allow me, Mama, also to report to you that good performance is a function of, one, effective teaching delivered by teachers who are committed. We have noted that absenteeism of teachers and pupils in many of our schools, especially in the rural schools, is one of the serious factor hindering improvement in children's performance. Secondly, Mama, positive attitude of teachers, attitude of parents, and the learners themselves is very crucial, and it has a lot to do with the performance. Poor attitude is responsible for children lacking food at school and high rate of absenteeism. Teachers who love their work will ensure that children not only learn effectively, but are also given the morals they need to become good and responsible citizens. Our children's moral uprightness need to be tuned early. And it is at this stage of primary that we really need to touch our children's morals. Thirdly, Mama, collaborative efforts of the teachers and parents, where parents are concerned about their children's learning, make efforts to provide materials and also include feeding and performance is also good. So this perhaps explains the persistent urban-rural disparity in performance, as the Executive Secretary has pointed out. From the results given and briefs from UNEB, there appears to be a serious disconnect between teaching, what is in the curriculum, and what the examination requires. And this is perhaps why our children some of our children cannot effectively deal with questions that are grounded in the environment, or those that require some imagination and critical thinking. The teachers and the methodologies applied have a lot to do with this. The teachers. Primary education is not the responsibility of the Ministry of Education and Sports alone, but because of decentralization, it is a major concern for local governments as well. It is essential that we all work together collaboratively to improve the learning outcome of our children. Mama, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the schools and all the candidates who have managed to make it. And we want to thank God for that success. And for those who have not made it, it's unfortunate, but this is not the end of the world. Finally, Mama, I want to report to you that candidate absenteeism, in addition to the pre-testing that has been pointed out already, also we have found a problem of those schools that have denied our children who have already registered for PLE or for any examinations but have failed to complete the school fees. Many of those children have been denied a chance of sitting because they have not completed fees. Now that is where we also need to come in and see how to help the poor parents who have faced this kind of problem. As I conclude, Mama, allow me to introduce to you the members of Parliament who have managed to make it. Honorable Nakayenze Koni Galiwango, who is the chairperson of the Committee on Education. We also have Honorable Opolot Jacob, who is the vice chairperson of the committee. We have our colleagues, members of the committee, and one of them is Honorable Babadiri. We also have Honorable Achon Julius. We welcome you, our dear colleagues, for honoring this function. It is now my pleasure, Mama, and honor to invite you to address the nation and release the 2017 results. Mama, you are welcome.
Honorable Ministers of State for Education, the Chairperson and members of Parliament, Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports, the PS for the Ministry of Education, the Chairperson UNEB, Executive Secretary UNEB, senior members of staff from the Ministry of Education and Sports, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased once again to release the results of the 2017 primary living examination, which was done on the 2nd and 3rd November 2017. I'd like to thank the Chairperson and the Board, the Executive Secretary and staff of UNEB for the very hard work they have put in to ensure that the results are being released on the same day, despite the increase in candidature, which would mean more work in marking the scripts and processing the results. I'm aware of the increasing use of technology by UNEB in its operations, which explains the increase in their efficiency in as far as timely release of results is concerned. I'd like from the very outset to pay tribute to the teachers, if there may be any here or listening, whose efforts in completing the marking on time contributed to this early release of results, which always allows the ministry to plan for early selection to enable the students joining Senior 1 to do so in good time. I wish to applaud the efforts of the parents now in educating the girls. For the 3rd year now running, the number of girls registering and sitting for the examination has been higher than that of boys, as you've heard from all of us. Notwithstanding the fact that we must continue to invest all our energies in ensuring that both girls and boys attend and complete school, it is undisputable fact that educating the girls lays an even firmer foundation for our development. Educating the women definitely translates into the transforming of future families for our nation. And certainly, we need to continue this struggle to also ensure that along with the improvement of numbers, we will also get the quality performance of these girls at school. I have noted that the rate of increase in candidature has reduced from over 3% to just under 1%. And I have also noted that there were negative variances from more than half of the districts. UNEB tried to find out the reasons for this, as you heard, and what has come out from some districts is unacceptable. The practice of placing hurdles before these young learners in the form of pre-registration, which you've just heard, tests which increases dropouts and should stop. This must stop. It should stop immediately. There should be no pre-registration tests or exams within both the public and private schools. Districts instead must put in place mechanisms to ensure effective teaching throughout the primary education cycle in order to achieve good PLE results. Districts such as Arua, Moyo, and Adjumani, which host large numbers of refugees, have had very significant increases in the numbers of candidates registering. The NRM government has one of the best policies in the world towards refugees, as I'm sure all Ugandans now know. This massive increase in candidature is one testimony that refugees are enabled to access education and other social services without any discrimination in our country. I have noted with satisfaction, one, improved performance in social studies and science. However, the mathematics and English subjects, which are very critical and essential skills of numeracy and literacy, have shown a decline. Now, while performance in mathematics indicates that more learners got the minimum pass at grade 8, the desired quality passes have declined. From the brief I have received from UNEP, this decline is a result of failure by candidates to handle questions with practical applications, and you heard Mr. Odong give examples here. In other words, questions that relate their math learning in class with life experiences, which is necessary if education is supposed to be meaningful. The teaching appears to be theoretical and emphasizes drilling of candidates. Teachers must therefore refocus the methods of teaching to ensure that learners are able to apply knowledge to their real life surroundings. These are the skills our children need in the 21st century, and they must be acquired at school. And improvement in the overall pass level with a reduced failure rate. This means a higher transition rate with more learners moving to the next level of education, thereby reducing wastage. I'm aware that the ministry has, through a number of initiatives, made effort to support performance improvement, targeting particularly those deserving districts. Some of these initiatives include the Global Partnership for Education, GPE project, which through the Teachers' Presence and Time on Task initiative aims to curb teacher absenteeism, especially within a number of districts in eastern Uganda and the 27 GPE beneficiary districts. Now, the Quality Enhancement Initiative, which targets a number of 21 of the underperforming districts, and C, the lower primary or early grade program, as it is commonly known, implemented in partnership with School Health and Reading Program, the Literacy, Achievement and Retention Activity, which together target a number of districts, and D, through intensified school monitoring, initially covering the districts of Chiboga, of Queen, Luuka, Kapchorwa, Sembabule, Kalungu, Kabalule, Rukunjiri, Mbarara, Kamuli, Hoima, and Bukedea. Meetings and workshops have been organized with the district education officers and inspectors of schools, as well as head teachers and teachers, to address impediments to delivery of quality education. 17 head teacher dialogues have also been held in the districts of Luuka, Chiboga, Kabalole, Kamuli, Buvuma, Kalangara, Sembabule, Mubende, Napak, Nakapiripirit, Moroto, Amdat, Kotido, Abim, Kabong, Oyam, and Lira. These are districts that are not doing well. And so all this is an effort that has been put together to help bring up these districts by the ministry. Most district education officers have been provided means of transport, in addition to 75 motorcycles for some inspectors of schools, in order to intensify effective supervision and monitoring of education service delivery. But I'm not happy with reports to the effect that some district leaders, especially, or with the permission of the chief administrative officers, have instead diverted these means of transport to other unrelated programs. Now, we are contemplating, therefore, a number of measures to mitigate this challenge, including giving them a unique color of vehicles to enable quick detection of abuse of these vehicles so that they can do what they are meant to do. However, given the enormity of the task at hand, all these interventions are still too few to translate into immediate improvement in performance either of the primary subsector in its entirety or that of individual schools and learners. We can and will continue to strive to do better. I take very serious note now and condemn examination malpractices. As you have heard from my colleagues, the fact that nearly all perpetrators are classroom teachers whose duty is to instill morals within our children, but are instead the ones teaching them that it is okay to cheat, threatens the very core of the moral fabric of our society and the work we're really trying to do here. We will therefore ostracize such teachers or their associates by publicly naming and shaming or even deregistering them so that we can stop this malpractice forthwith. I agree completely with the board chairperson that examination malpractice is a serious threat to our national security and the credibility of our education system. Its prevalence will reduce our competitiveness globally and compromise the quality of our human resources, which is the most important ingredient in national development. I have already caused the draft repeal of the UNEB Act to be put on the Cabinet agenda, and a new law will hopefully soon be in place. The new law should, among other things, enable UNEB and the ministry to apply appropriate and/or deterrent sanctions to those schools and individuals that engage in examination malpractices. I will also ensure adequate support to UNEB to, among other things, increase the level of security at all stages of the conduct of the examinations. Indeed, this matter is not a UNEB matter alone, but it is a concern and should be of every citizen of this country. Now, when UNEB has conducted its full investigations and given hearing to the affected candidates, chief administrative officers from districts where this vice has been prominent must take firm disciplinary action on those teachers found culpable. Through the Directorate of Education Standards, which is responsible for quality assurance, I will also expect periodic feedback reports on the nature of disciplinary action preferred against the perpetrators of this vice in order that we completely stamp it out and from our society. I must, however, applaud those districts which had featured prominently on the 2016 list, but were reported to have taken firm action. They have not appeared this year, and I pray that they will stay away from that list. We have agreed to put in place a more objective mechanism of monitoring and recognizing individual district and school performance improvement. Districts that may be listed amongst those with the highest failure rate may demonstrate noticeable improvement in teacher presence, in children attendance, increased supervision, and candidate performance, which should still be recognized as making a good effort. This points out that the fact that they are not exactly where they want to be, but at least they have moved from where they used to be. Towards this same end, I'd like to remind all concerned that globally, education is a partnership which requires that we all play a part in securing the future of our children and our country. Therefore, I call upon all political and other leaders, local government authorities, and the technical officers, all our partners in education service delivery, especially the faith-based institutions, head teachers and teachers, as well as the parents, and indeed our own children, each to play their part in promoting effective teaching and learning in a school so that we can transform our education. Members of Parliament especially, and indeed all other major stakeholders, should interest themselves in visiting schools within their areas to inspect, encourage, support, and ensure quality education service delivery in their constituencies. And also to share their findings at the next convenient level of reporting, right from the local to central government level. I thank the police and other security agencies that assisted UNEP in the conduct of the examination. I congratulate the candidates themselves who have done well, the teachers who prepared them, and the parents who supported them. The Senior 1 selection exercise will be conducted at the UMA Showgrounds from 24th to 25th January 2018. It is now my pleasure to release the results of the 2017 PLE to the nation for official use. And I must thank all of you for being here and for listening to me, and I wish you a very happy new year. So much.
Thank you very much, Mama, the Minister of Education and Sports. This now brings us to the end of this function. We shall shortly stand up and sing the anthems, but before we do, I would like to invite everyone at the high table to have an official photograph on our outside, just on the outside of this hall, briefly with the Minister, and thereafter there will be a press conference in room 113. So the members of press who have registered for the press conference, you please proceed there after this function. May we please now rise for the anthems.